Hi, my name's Tillings, and I just wanted to touch base with people at this very challenging and difficult time that we're all experiencing in our world at the moment. And I just feel that there's so much worry, anxiety and uncertainty about what's happening in and around our world at the moment. So I just wanted to kind of share some information about anxiety and offer a little bit of maybe reassurance that that can help people manage it a lot better. So anxiety is something that we all have, and I always work when I'm working with clients to see anxiety as our friend rather than our enemy, because when it's working with us, it's there to help keep us safe and to just alert us that potentially there's a danger or a threat that's around us, and we might need to be aware of that and act on it if necessary. So it's there to serve us well and to be our friend, but very often it works in the opposite by being more of our enemy, where it puts us into panic, or the hyper state of vigilance, which I'll explain in a little bit. So it sends us into panic, and then when we panic, we can't think straight. Our feelings are all over the place, and everything just gets out of sync, if you like. So if we think about sort of what triggers anxiety, very often it's when we feel our world or we are not feeling safe, when we feel threatened, if there's danger around us. They're all the things that can trigger off our anxiety. So it's when we don't feel safe, it's when we're out of our safe place, if you like. So when I work with people who've experienced trauma or events that has been sort of quite traumatic, we talk a lot about having a window of tolerance. So if we're in our window of tolerance, it means we're in our safe place where we don't feel any of those threats, dangers, uncertainties or anything like that. So depending on what our experiences are and what we have experienced will depend how big our window of tolerance is. So some people may be more tolerant to things than other people. Again, depending on what those experiences are. So when we go out of our window of tolerance, we tend to go into either a hypervigilant state, which is a high state of arousal or anxiety. And the best way to explain when we're in hypervigilant is a bit like I always describe it as a bit like a meerkat. So we're constantly on this high state of alertness, waiting for what's going to happen next. We don't know when, we don't know where, we don't know how. We just know something bad is going to happen or it's coming. So that takes us into that hypervigilant state of arousal. So sometimes that's difficult for us to function in those circumstances. Our heart's beating, our minds are not kind of thinking rationally, we're irrational thinking, and we're feeling sort of all over the place. Okay, so that's when we're in the hyper state of arousal, when we're out of our safe place or our window of tolerance. So the opposite end of the hypervigilance is hypovigilance. So hypovigilance is when we very often shut down. So again, if we think about in terms of animal terms, because sometimes metaphors usually work good for understanding. So it's a bit like a rabbit in headlights. So it freezes, it knows something bad is coming towards it, the rabbit knows something bad is going to happen. So it shuts down. So very often our minds and our bodies shut down until whatever has happened is over, and then we slowly come back to our conscious awareness. So very often that can be caused by like disassociation and things like that. So that's hypo and hypervigilance. So really we need to sort of keep a mental healthy well-being. So doing things like mindfulness and kind of being in the present, really, because with anxiety it's the fears of what's going to happen and what could happen and things, or maybe anxiety about what has happened. So if, for instance, we've experienced some financial hardship, we might be anxious that that might happen again. So that's linked to our past, which triggers off our anxiety. So if we kind of try and be mindful and live more in the moment, because that's what mindfulness is, it's being grounded and being in the here and now, then that's all we can be, because the past is gone and that's happened, and we're not sure what the future is and what tomorrow may bring. So mindfulness is actually very healthy for our minds, our bodies and our souls, because it kind of grounds us and it refocuses the pathways in our brain, so we can sort of hear the birds singing if we're going out for a walk, and just be mindful of what our surroundings are rather than what's sort of triggering the anxiety. So I hope that's been helpful. If anybody kind of wants to get in touch or knowing any more information, I do work as a counsellor, a therapeutic practitioner, and at the moment not seeing clients face to face because everybody's been advised to stay home. But if anybody wants any more information, then please get in touch, visit my website, give me a call or get in touch, and I'll be happy just to have a chat or answer any questions that you may not that you may have. So everybody stay safe, stay well, and take care of your mental and emotional well-being.